All of our aldermen are present. Mr. Powell is present via telephone, but otherwise is present. At this time, I'd like to recognize Ms. Janet, who will lead us in prayer, then I'll lead us in prayer.
Our gracious and heavenly Father, we come this afternoon and say thank you, Lord. Lord, we thank you for allowing our moments to roll on just a little while longer. We thank you, Lord, for coming to be with us as we conduct this business as the mayor and board of aldermen for the city of Weston. We come asking that you would just bring us all close together and we'd be able to make decisions in decent and in order in the way that you will have it to go. Lord, we ask that we all get a clear understanding, but we'll be able to have wisdom, knowledge, and love for each other in this conducted meeting. These are the blessings name I pray. I send down in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. All right, at this time, we will go to item 3A, consideration of approval of revisions to the Magnolia Commons site plan. I will tell you guys that I just got off the phone with Mike McCullum, and Mr. McCullum says that this revised site plan is good to go, that they primarily wanted to increase some parking and also build some pickleball courts instead of tennis courts, and that he saw no reason not to approve it. They are under a little bit of a time crunch, hence the reason for us moving them pretty quickly here direct to us, to the board. So I would recommend that we approve this. And sir, if you want to add anything, or anybody's got any questions, otherwise I would ask for a motion to approve the revised Magnolia Commons site plan. Motion. Mr. Taylor made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Campbell, second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you guys. Y'all are certainly excused if you feel like you need something to do something else. All right, we're going to now focus on the budget issues. And before we get going too far down that road, I have had a lot of time to reflect on the events that occurred on Monday and to a lesser degree on Tuesday. And I have some statements that I want to make about that. And I'm really directing my statement primarily to Ms. Campbell and Mr. Williams, the two newcomers on our board. You know, I can only imagine the steep learning curve that you folks have had to try to come up with and keep up with. I mean, you were literally dropped into the middle of a story that's been ongoing for years and years and years. You've been faced with a ton of data, new concepts, new terminology, a lot of information has been provided to you. There's a lot to digest. And I have watched you two sit here and do your dead level best to try to understand and get up to speed. And I know your intentions are very well intended here. It is important, though, I think, for you to understand how and where information that is provided in these meetings is gathered from. So typically, information is provided to the board at my request. I will ask Ms. Kellum, I will ask Mr. Youngblood or Mr. Watson to provide certain data to me. In terms of financial and budgeting information, I rely tremendously on them to provide me information. As you probably know, Ms. Kellum was, I believe, the city's first employee. She loves this city. She is dedicated to this city. Mr. Youngblood, along with Mr. Watson, have been involved in this city since before its incorporation. They've been very instrumental in incorporating this city and providing significant support to us and to me personally from the very inception of this city. Neither of them have an agenda, and neither of them have a platform or a voice. I asked they provide information, and they provided to me. What you saw on Monday, particularly as it regards to them and to a lesser extent me, was a coordinated attack on their credibility. It was a coordinated attack to cause people to have less trust in the information that they provide for consideration here. I could care less whether or not people say things about me or make baseless allegations about me. Put that off to the side. I'm a big boy and I've got a voice and a platform. But baseless allegations attacking the credibility of Ms. Kellum and Mr. Youngblood go beyond the pale. And the assertions made in that meeting were that they were intentionally providing financial information designed to be inaccurate and to provide misleading information. It was an agenda driven by misinformation. It was nothing more than a means to an end, and there was no regard given for whether or not there was damage done to these two individuals who have been so dedicated to the city from the very beginning. There are two specific examples of that, and I wanted to demonstrate what I mean by that. You will recall that we put up for discussion here this projected cash balance based upon a 12 mil tax levy. Scott, that's not the one. The one I want shows the park project and the road project. That's the one I want to see. This is the one that I used for illustrative purposes. This is the one that I stood up and talked about. This is the one where it was alleged that we were misleading and providing misleading information because we did not include in our revenue side funds for grants for the park, grants for the widening of Gluckstadt Road, and the $3 million in funds to be given to us by a private entity. And the reason for that was to try to discredit the accuracy of this information. The purpose of why I use this diagram to talk to you about it had to do with demonstrating the net cost of these projects to the city. And it is true that the $3 million private funds is not included in here. It is also true that the $3.5 million grant money is not included in here. But you know what's the most important part of it is neither are the grand totals of the costs of those projects. For instance, if you take and add in the expenditure section the total cost of the Gluckstadt Road project, you'll see that it was $4.9 million. Well, we know that the Gluckstadt Road project was going to cost us about $9 million. So the information is accurate as to the net cost to the city. Likewise, that is true with regard to the park project. If you add up the park project expenditures, you will see that was $3.6 million. We know the park was going to cost us anywhere from $6 to $7 million. So it is, as Mr. Youngblood suggests, a wash by not including the revenue and not including the total expenditures. The net purpose of this document was to demonstrate the overall cost of the project to the city and its impact on the city's cash position, okay? The second example that was utilized was that we were understating the cash balance because we were not adding in and lumping together money that is held in funds for the city outside of the general fund, okay? Now understand a couple of things. Look at the top of this document, general fund cash balance. That's what we were talking about. The implication was, well, the city's got a heck of a lot more money and you're misrepresenting the cash balance by using this document. But let me explain something. It is true that other funds that the city maintains in city bank accounts were not part of this. But those funds, for instance, court bond funds accounts and legislatively appropriated money that is specifically earmarked for a particular project was not included here. Because in many senses, for instance, the court bond account, that's not our money. The legislature legislatively appropriating money earmarked for the widening of Gluckstadt Road can't be used to pay salaries or buy public works equipment. So it was not misleading when we demonstrated using this document the projected cash balance for this account. What you guys saw on Monday, as I said earlier, was coordinated, calculated, and it was designed at attacking the information provided by two trusted people who are dedicated in this city. And the more I had the opportunity to reflect on it, the more I thought to myself, you know what? They would be completely justified in walking away from this city and leaving us to flounder. And let me tell you, we would flounder sure enough if we lost these two people. I pray that they don't. I hope that they don't. But I can tell you that the smoke from the bridges that were burned on Monday from these character assassinations will linger for a long time. And it was known, it was intentional, it was agenda driven. Let that sink in.
I have a question.
Decide who you want to hitch your wagon to when we get down to trusting who's being honest and who's being candid. Your question.
My question is, the funds that are held in the Gluckstadt Road widening project and counting station, are those expenses not included here? Yes or no?
I don't know the answer to that question. All I can tell you is that if you read the bill, and I was there, and I met with
I'm asking about general cash basis, revenue versus expenses. Are those expenses included here on the general fund?
Some of the expenses are incorporated in the Gluckstadt Road project.
So the money that has been allocated from the state that's in a separate account, are those expenses here? Yes or no?
Well, I can't answer that question, and I won't answer that question in this forum. I will answer that question in writing to you if you'll submit it to me. Any other questions? All right. At this time, we want to discuss the Gluckstadt Road widening project. That's item 3B. When we went to the legislature, and we being me, when I went to the legislature and met with our state representatives, our state senator, Speaker of the House, Lieutenant Governor, Chairman of the Appropriations Committee, I told them that if they were kind enough to appropriate to the city money to use to widen Gluckstadt Road, that I would do exactly that. It wouldn't be a bait and switch. I would use the money that they gave us so that they could trust me to spend it on widening Gluckstadt Road. They allocated $750,000 for that purpose. They did that after they had allocated $1.75 million for our police department. I made the same exact assertion to them, the same promise to them, and I developed some level of trust. We have now made it abundantly clear that we're not going to widen Gluckstadt Road. We spent a certain part of the $750,000 that had been allocated. Ms. Kellen, how much of that appropriation did we spend?
$164,000 approximately.
Okay, so we spent approximately $164,000 of earmarked money to widen Gluckstadt Road. That was for engineering and preliminary type expenditures.
Yes, sir.
Now that the project is going to be canceled, we have to, according to the auditor's office, repay that sum from our general fund cash balance. We then will have the original $750,000 back in that special allocated fund. It may not be necessary that we return all of that $750,000. Fortunately for us, we might not have to give it all back from a legal perspective, because the bill provides some method where we might be able to use it for quote unquote other improvements to Gluckstadt Road. But it will require a two-step process. We first have to pay back the $164,000 to the general fund. to the legislatively allocated fund. And then we may be able to use the money going down the road to, for other improvements to Gluckstadt Road. That'll be, necessary. You want us to vote on whether or not to pay the money back now?
So the bill allows us to include or to use that money for improvements such as, and Chris can help me here, traffic improvements, signals, other types of improvements that would not include a widening. So what I would like for the board to decide is whether we need to return the money to the state or if they would like to use it for other improvement projects, capital improvement projects related to Gluckstadt Road.
Yeah, I don't think that we ought to consider today whether we have to return it to the state, because we need some clarity, from a legal perspective, what the language of the bill actually requires. However, we know from the auditor that we have to pay that fund back.
Yes, because the invoices for engineering specifically said the purpose was for Gluckstadt Road widening.
Okay.
So when I make a report to DFA quarterly, that's the basis that our reports are on, is that it was for a widening project. So, you know, if nothing less, we have to send that money back to that account, and then we can turn around and work with John Scanlon and figure out if we can still use that money towards other improvements that would be absent of widening.
Okay, so I call for then a motion authorizing the transfer, the paying back from the general fund to that legislatively appropriated account, the sum of $164,000. What's the exact number?
$164,381.81.
381.81? Motion. All right, Mr. Taylor made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Campbell seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And this is in a separate account, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what will
I
happen?
may ask a question?
Yes, sir. Hold on, Mr. Powell. Let me answer, Mr. Williams. So what will happen is that a check will go from the general fund account back to the separate account where the $750,000 was originally held.
Yes,
Okay.
It'll make it
Mr.
whole
Powell?
and simple.
Yes, sir. Do we, I guess twofold question, do we have a certain amount of years to use this? That fund?
Is there a time frame?
It doesn't state it in the bill. Like sometimes it is, you know, you have to use it within that FY, but because this was a widening project along with an LTA grant, that would have been, you know, over the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, Mr. Powell, I don't think that the legislatively appropriated funds require us to spend that money in a certain time frame. Now, it was dedicated obviously to the widening project, and there's some ambiguous language in that sense.
Yes.
Okay?
So, yeah, so next year or the following year or something, we come across some extra funds and we decide we want to go ahead and move forward with that project, and we can use that money, for that project still though, correct?
It's my belief that if we intended to and did in fact use the legislatively appropriated $750,000 for widening Gluckstadt Road, we could do that without any time limitation. Now, there are other time limitations, such as the LPA grant and things like that, but just for that $750,000, I think you're correct.
Yes, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Next item is item 3C. And that has to do with our lobbying contract. Shortly after the city became incorporated, I saw a need for us to hire lobbyists to help us down there to state capitol, gather funds that would be helpful to the city. And they have done an absolutely fantastic job. We have built relationships down there based upon trust and accountability and things like that. The first year, the city was allocated $1 million to use to our police department. The second year, the city was allocated $750,000 to use toward our police department. So very grateful for that, and allowed us to build the city's first building where our police department and our municipal court are housed. Last year, with the help of the lobbyists, I went down there again and had numerous meetings, and in every respect gave them my word that if they allocated money to us, we would use it to widen Gluckstadt Road. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And every time I go down there to talk to these folks, I give them my word that if they give us money, we're gonna use it for what we say we're gonna use it. And you probably wouldn't be surprised that there are other municipalities in this area, and certainly in this state, where it's the bait and switch. Give me the money and I'll find something else to use for it. And I'm not doing that. So with that said, Ms. Kellum, do you recall how much we spend on these lobbyists every year?
Well, I think it's about $5,000 a month.
$3,500.
$3,500 a month. We are gonna waste that money if we continue with that contract, because we're not going to the legislature and make promises that we can't keep. So I ask that the board allow us to terminate that lobbying contract.
Motion to terminate.
Mr. Taylor made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Powell seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we're on item 3D. That's part of, really the purpose for this meeting today, and it's a budget workshop. Ms. Campbell, I'll go to you first because I recall you had some interest in having a discussion about this today. If that's true, then you have the floor. Otherwise, we'll just open it up generally for anybody.
Well, I reflected this week after Monday's meeting, went back through the budget because I knew we probably had more cuts to make. One that stood out to me was, I believe it's page 30 of the budget. I'm not sure which copy I have in front of me, and I'm not very good at getting it very quickly on my iPad. And the general budget.
General administration. So was it general administration, page 30?
Page 30, okay?
It was in regards to German Fest, Christmas parades, and 4th of July. I know we have already cut it $50,000, but with all of the other other cuts we've had to do in other areas, I feel that $50,000 is an extreme amount of money to allot for a event that is a few hours a day, that is probably half of the community comes to, and will require overtime and workforce to put together. So I think that should not be in the budget. I think it should go to something else. I have a couple ideas of where I think it should go to, but I think that $50,000 should not be there.
What ideas do you have? What was that?
Number one, save it because next year we're gonna be in the red since we didn't raise taxes. Number two is divide it evenly into the police or public works. Or number three, invest in the employees that we have right now somehow.
All right, so we have to adopt the budget on Monday. Right, am I right about that? So the board has to adopt the budget on Monday, which will necessitate us to provide whatever information in terms of adjustments that we've been discussing over the last several meetings to Mr. Youngblood so that he can come up with a final budget to be adopted. So what I'm hearing from Ms. Campbell is that the $50,000 in the general administration earmark for German Fest, July the 4th, and the Christmas parade should be brought to zero. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm not saying don't have it. I'm just saying the city doesn't need to pay for it.
Okay.
I'm going to, I would like.
Okay, hold on.
Jason, you can go
Mr.
first.
Powell?
Sure. So I'm sitting here looking at our projections for next year. Ending balance of $193,808 with an ending balance of $4,093,493,443 So we're going to cut $50,000 potentially that we're going to use for something for our citizens that they wanted to do, and not only that, we're looking at raising money by sponsorships and everything else to offset the cost of German Fest. I just don't understand where this is coming from. If I remember correctly, everybody voted for the committee for German Fest and for us to do this. I just don't see where that $50,000 for German Fest, the 4th of July, and for the Christmas parade, it's not doing anything in the context of our budget. Once again, we're still sitting on $4 million, over $4 million at the end of the year. And then on these projections, it doesn't even show our revenues going up. We just approved projects. We got other businesses coming in. I think that is short-sighted, and I would strongly object. That 50,000, we brought it down from 100,000 to 50,000. It should stay in the budget.
Wow.
Mr. Powell, yeah, Mr. Powell, I'm gonna try to make sure everybody's done and everybody gets heard. Mr. Powell, are you done?
Oh, yes, sir, I am.
Okay, Ms. Cannon?
I went back through the survey that the board, gave, or the city did, back in 2023. And yes, German Fest is an important event in the city. However, it is not the main thing they want. The main thing they wanted was a Gluckstadt Road fixed and widened, and they wanted a park. After our meeting on Monday, those two things got mixed. So I don't understand why we would now think it's okay to spend $50,000 on an event that is a few hours long when a park would have been there 365 days a year, servicing everyone for the remainder of the city's existence. And there are several events, and I'll just say this as an example. I am heavily involved in the Jackson Junior League mistletoe. I have a lot of friends there that work on that gala. It is a huge event. Everything is donated. They do not pay money into anything to put on that event. Everything is donated. I'm not saying don't have it. I'm just saying the city should not pay for it.
Ms. Cannon, will you
It's a
done?
city event.
Hold on,
How's the
hold
city not
on,
gonna pay for it?
hold on, Mr. Powell. Ms. Cannon, will you done?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Powell?
It's a city event. How are we not gonna pay for it? I DJ the Flowwood Festival. I DJ the event for Balloon Glow for the city of Richland. Those are events that the cities put on for their citizens. I mean, once again, you recoup most of your money, if not all of it. On this one, I mean, heck, the city of Flowwood will pay $150,000, $300,000 for one artist to come perform. So it makes no sense. I feel you on that. I have been on this board for 5 years now. I've been an advocate for both the road widening project and for the park, especially for the park. If you go look and Google my name and Google parks for the city of Gluckstadt, there's going to be articles where I've been interviewed about it because I want a city park. But right now, we're already spending $640,000 additional debt for a police station. There's no way that we can, as a city, I own a business, you own a business, you should know this, that we can afford to do, even raising our millage rate to 18 mil was not going to touch anything on on the park or on that road widening project. So I don't know why you're trying to take $50,000 that in the scheme of our budget is nothing. It's a very, very minute amount and trying to pull it out. I do know why. I do have a pretty good idea why, but
right,
$50,000.
Mr.
We're
Powell,
talking $50,000.
I want to let Ms. Bates speak. She's been waiting patiently. Ms. Bates?
I
Sure.
do have a question. It's about, the Christmas parade. How much did we spend last year on the Christmas parade?
We had some materials for a parade float because it was the first time that we had the board and staff ride on the float. In previous years, they were convertibles. That was minuscule.
Do you have a number?
I don't have a set number.
All right,
It
is that
includes
enough?
police overtime, public works overtime.
Which doesn't come out of that $50,000.
Right. So look, we need to answer the question, but let's make sure that we understand the question and we'll answer the question. Unless you're able to do that right now
I can look up the
accurately,
figures.
let's look up the numbers and provide those to Alderman Bates.
I can do that, yes, ma'am.
All right, any other questions? All right, so what we need to be able to do again is to try to give Mr. Youngblood some direction so that he can come up with a final budget. And the ultimate, I guess, narrow issue that we need to give him direction on now is whether or not we're going to take $50,000 out of this line item entirely and then entirely out of the budget, or we're gonna reallocate it to some other areas of the budget? Because he needs to know that. So, I'll listen for a motion.
I make a motion that $50,000 stays in the budget
Okay,
for 4th of July, for German Fest, and for the Christmas parade.
I make a motion to have it reallocated to other, funds,
okay.
to the police and
So-
the public works.
Divided between PD and Public Works.
Yes. That's fine.
So I have two motions. Mr. Powell wants to leave the $50,000 just as it is. Ms. Campbell wants to move that $50,000 and divide it equally between PD and Public Works. And so, Mr. Powell, any other motions? Okay, Mr. Powell's motion, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Bates seconded that motion. Is there a second on Ms. Campbell's motion?
Second.
Mr. Taylor seconded Ms. Campbell's motion. To Mr. Powell's motion, all in favor?
Aye.
I have Mr. Williams, Ms. Bates, and Mr. Powell.
Yes, sir.
That motion will carry 3-2. The $50,000 will stay in the budget as set forth here. Okay. Any other discussion, comments? Go through a similar exercise that we just went through with regard to the budget that you all have before you.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a miscellaneous services for $50,000.
What page?
146,
Same thing.
or same page.
Oh, same page. Page
I don't
30 of
have
the
my-
budget. Page 30, what line item was it?
It's third from the bottom.
Third from the bottom. $155,000 number for IT and software services.
No.
No, Melissa, right below it.
Miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous services, the $50,000.
Yeah, I just didn't know what that was for.
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Moss.
A lot of it comes like cleaning the buildings. Between PD is
That's
two.
I was just-
There's some other stuff that goes in there. I mean, I can look at the only lower it some, but that's a big portion of it.
That's
So,
contractual.
Mr. Williams and Ms. Campbell, if you kind of look through this number, if you started that line item to the left, okay, you will see that we adopted, when the budget was adopted, it was $11,000 number. You see that? And then you see the next category says amended budget. Okay? That's where that number went up. We drove that number up for whatever reason. And as of July the 9th, we've spent 24,000 of that number. So, you probably can imagine, there's a great amount here of sort of estimating and trying to forecast where money is going to be spent. And we use a little bit of historical knowledge based upon what we spent last year to kind of come up with that number. So for some reason, we drove the number up to 47,000. Mr. Mall might know exactly why, and we may spend
So,
that over the next couple of months. Go ahead, Scott.
off the top of my head, could be wrong. Okay, so don't go into this. But originally, when we signed on with the new cleaning company, we were gonna have the PD clean twice a week. We were gonna have like our building twice a week, I think one more twice a week. All those have moved to one a week. So that initial kind of big thing was trimmed down just because we didn't use it as much.
Okay.
That's the main one I can think off the top of my head. There may be a few other services we have, but that's it.
So what we did was, the reason for the necessary amendment was because we thought the price was going to be significantly higher. We drove that contract down to once a week, hence the historical information that we got. But,
I don't know if this is the right format, but can we amend that last motion? That any funds that we do not spend of that 50,000 for German Fest be distributed between police and
So you're saying
Public
next year, give it to them?
We don't spend all of it, whatever's left over.
If you're looking at me,
The
Mayor,
better way to do that, I think,
Okay.
is to make a budget adjustment or a budget amendment. John, I might be wrong.
well, no, I mean, parliamentary wise, I was gonna say, I think if you're still in the same meeting, you could just ask for a motion to reconsider if you want to do
Yeah.
it that way.
Look, I think that the better way to do it is, let's say that after German Fest and the Christmas parade and the 4th of July, we're holding $10,000 in that account. At that time, we can talk about just adjusting the budget or amending the budget. It wouldn't be an adjustment, it would be an amendment to reallocate those funds, okay? And we can definitely do that. Just remember that as we go forward. Ms. Campbell?
I just wanted, like, I know we've already voted on it, and it's gonna say that $50,000 is a car or a truck that Public Works that needs to make their job easier. It's a police car that we need to make their job easier. I mean, it's an insane amount of money for a city that is 4 years old, we can do so much more good with that money than spend it on an event. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Okay, all right, that's enough. We've had a vote on it. Appreciate everybody, voicing their opinions on that. I do not believe that we have anything else to discuss unless somebody else has another item to discuss regarding this budget.
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, Mr. Powell.
If I could, on the revisions that were sent in, it shows under the police department a cut of 3 part-time officers. Does that include like Officer Flint?
Yes, it does.
Okay, hold on. Chief Hale, why don't you come to the, podium so you can answer Mr. Powell's question?
Guess what page are you on?
Yes, Mr. Powell, what page are you on?
Man, hold on, let me turn
Be
my,
the last.
it's, page 115, I guess, on my iPad.
What
It should be
page,
the last
what
page
page of
of
the budget?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, it's the very first or second page of the budget that was given to us. Like right after it's gonna be right before the general fund cash balance.
Oh, you're talking about not out of the
Proposed
cash.
changes.
Yes, sir. Now I'm talking about just, revisions.
The worksheet, oh, yeah, the worksheet, I got you.
It says budget changes after
Yes.
9/8/25.
Yes, sir, okay. All right, your question is, police department personnel cut 3 part-time police officers. And your question is whether or not that is a cut to Mr. Flint? Officer Flint?
Yep, it is.
Okay, hold on. Chief Hale's got the answers for you.
Yes, sir, thank you. And the other officers it affects as well.
It affects, Officer Flint, Officer Norwood, and Officer, Smith.
Flint, Norwood, and who?
Smith.
Okay, according to Chief, did you hear that, Mr. Powell?
No, I could not.
Yeah,
I heard
okay.
Officer Flint,
It includes Officer Flint, Officer Norwood, and Officer Smith.
Officer Smith. I got you. Okay, once again, I mean, I've looked at budgets for a long time. I've owned businesses. I look at revenues that we have. And I also look at what people do and what people produce. Officer Flint is a huge, production for us, as far as our traffic officer goes. I would like to make a motion that 64.9 is put back into the budget and keep our officers and keep our city safe and keep our streets safe. And not pick up
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Powell.
Right.
Look, separate and apart from, as Mr. Powell used the term, revenue generated by Officer Flint. Separate and apart from that, it's a real public safety issue. What's the plan if we don't have Officer Flint, Officer Norwood? They both run radar and do traffic.
That's
Is that their job?
That's correct.
So who's gonna be on traffic patrol if we no longer have Officer Flint and we no longer have Officer Norwood?
It'll be, you'll be who's on the shift that day, 2 officers.
So we'll still have traffic control, but it'll be officers who are on routine shift.
Yes.
Okay. And is it your belief that the the normal officers on shift can do the job in terms of traffic patrol that Officer Flint and Norwood have been doing?
They can to an extent. I mean, if they're not on calls, if they want to call, Officer Flint don't usually answer calls. He usually
Keep
just,
your voice up.
Officer
I know
Flint
how-
doesn't usually answer calls unless we get backed up. He's mainly there just as our traffic guy. And it works, but I'll leave that up to y'all. That's y'all.
Well,
decision.
this is your area of expertise, and I have been, yes, sir, I have been very supportive of public safety, despite the fact that we've taken a lot of flack about speeding tickets on Gluckstadt Road, but I've always thought it's a public safety issue, and it's a little inconsistent to me to have been fighting that battle for 4 years and talking about how important it is. If what we're getting ready to do here is to say, well, we don't really need it now. You understand my point? So my question is, I want to make sure that if we terminate the positions, we still provide the services they're providing. Can we do that?
Some,
To some degree.
I mean, because we
do
that, we cut.
Hold on, Mr. Powell, he's not done answering.
When we do that, we cut some of our, court bailiffs when we need them. Some of our people who transport people back and forth for court. I mean, you got 2 people on the ship, and if they're out working an accident on the interstate, or we have court that day, where the part-times can help with calls, they can go transport people for us. There's several things they can do. They help when we have, parades.
So you submitted these, Ms. Powell, I haven't forgotten about you, I promise you.
No, you're good.
You submitted at least these budget cuts at my request.
Yes,
I
sir.
asked you to go through your budget, some $2+ million,
Yes.
and to provide me areas where you thought you could cut the budget. Why did you land on this part?
Well, I mean, that's all I could actually cut.
Okay,
I mean,
Mr. Powell?
I could cut cameras, but we need cameras.
Mr. Powell, your question, sir.
Yes, sir, I was just asking if we were to cut these people, would we also incur more overtime from our other officers not having these people available?
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
So
I would like to see.
we're not really saving money here, it doesn't sound like to me, and we're also running the risk maybe of public safety issues.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, before we even ever discuss the whole, road widening, before we ever discuss a park, when I was walking with Alderman Bates and with Alderman Williams, collecting signatures in neighborhoods to become a city some 10 years ago, almost, when we started this in 2015, the concerns of our citizens when we were knocking door to door was police, public works, and planning and zoning was the 3 key things that our citizens wanted us to do as a city. And I just think we'd be doing our citizens a disservice if we were to cut these individuals up,
Yeah, I
or
don't
these
think,
positions out.
I don't think this is a wise cut, but I don't get to vote. So at this point, are there other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Say for example, when we have German Fest next year, aren't we gonna need these 3 people?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so look, to be fair, what Chief Hale did was he did it at my request. I asked every department head to go in and see where they could cut. And every one of them did. Some cut $5,000 because they don't have much of a budget. And I know that Chief Hale was probably trying to do what he thought were best. I don't think this is a wise cut. And so, and I don't think anybody on this board thinks it's a wise cut, but we have to make a call. We have to give Mr. Youngblood the guidance. Do we put these 3 part-time officers back in the budget, or we keep them out? What's the motion?
I'm a motion to keep these 3 in the budget.
Ms. Bates made a motion to reverse that proposed cut, keep them in the budget. Is there a second?
I'll second that, sir.
Mr. Powell seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And I know you did it because you're trying to cut money, not that you're not concerned about public
No,
safety. on
no,
the
sir.
budget. I
Public
know you're
safety
not.
is
Okay.
This city and public safety is my heart, so.
All right. Any other questions, comments, topics on the budget? All right, I think that will conclude our business today. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
There is a public comment section.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, public comment. I'm so sorry. Whoever signed up for public comment. We have Ms. Lauren Bishop.
Hey, guys. I had some stuff I was gonna write down, but I think I'm just gonna speak freely. I just want to let everybody know that as a citizen, we support every single one of y'all. I voted for every single one of you guys that are here. With that being said, obviously, the majority of folks that did, because that's why you're sitting up there and not back here with us. I think that we may have gotten off to a little rocky start this past week. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there Monday. But I just want to let y'all know that we want you guys to succeed, so the city succeeds. Whether that may unfortunately make some decisions on non-popular, opinions about taxes and things of that nature. But I think that the huge issue is there's a lot of people just like me, a banker, but I know everything about numbers. Would it be okay if like at some point we have like an open forum, discussion about like a city hall that discusses like specifics, like allocating funds, where these funds go to, why can't we spend this? Because I feel like as a citizen, yes, I do know a little bit about allocating funds and where it has to go, but I don't know the ins and outs. And so I feel like if I can't ask you an educated question, then I'm not going to get an educated answer. Does that make sense? So just thoughts, maybe sometime in the near future, so that there's no people on Facebook yelling and complaining. You don't know the answer. We don't know. We're just assuming. So if that's a possibility.
We recently did here within the last month or so, a town hall.
Mhm,
And we
yeah.
certainly, that will not be an isolated event. We'll certainly do that. And we can, try to be more specific next town hall to take maybe some particular areas
Yeah.
to focus our questions on, including finances. And we will definitely do that.
Yeah.
None of that will prevent people from doing whatever they do on Facebook.
Yeah.
But
I've been on that
it'll
long, so I got
at
it,
least
yeah.
it'll be an effort to try to help you.
For
and
sure.
everybody else.
Yeah, and I think that would be just, like I said, just not just for me, but just for everybody. That way we can, know the specifics to be more helpful. So that's
Thank
it.
you.
Not
Thank
just
you
for
for coming.
everything.
Yes,
We appreciate
thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Wooldridge had signed for public comment, but he was here on Magnolia Commons and he's no longer here. So now,
Mr. Youngblood, question.
yes, sir. Mr. Youngblood, are you present?
I'm here.
Alderman Taylor has a question.
When we decided not to raise taxes, does that hurt our bond rating any at all now, or does it occur when we try to do another bond?
I honestly don't know the answer to the question, Mr. Taylor.
Okay.
John Scanlon might be able to
Well,
help with that, if he does much bond work.
I'm obviously not your primary bond counsel. That's not something our firm does, so I can only give you a very generalized answer. But, bonding capacity is obviously something that you look at with regard to your access to revenue. So, I don't know that per se would hurt you, but they want to see what capacity you've got left following the bond issue done for the police station. I'm sure it's one of the many things they look at, but I couldn't give a very concrete answer.
And we can have bond counsel here, but anytime you borrow money, whether you're an individual or a city or anybody else, they always look at your financial condition. And so to the degree that the tax levy impacts the city's financial condition, I would anticipate that it does. But we can definitely have,
Especially the ability to pay back is what you look at, so.
all right. Good. Any other
And I
questions?
have one more question.
Yes, sir.
I want to make a statement on what was just said as well. So if it was showing even raising in the 18 mil and doing those projects that were negative. So to me, that would affect the bond rate issue more than us showing positive right now. Would that not be correct?
Well, I think that you're exactly right. I think that to the degree that the city is in poor financial condition or poorer financial condition, it will logically, to my estimation, impact the city's ability to borrow money and probably affect the interest rates and things. And so,
I guess my question is, how are we poorer when we're showing that that we're not in a negative like we were when it was showing at 18 mil with those projects in? Because I'm looking at the numbers and it shows a positive in our account versus before it showed a positive, maybe positive and negative.
Yeah, I think
with those projects in there.
I think the projections at 12 mils, even if we take out the Gluckstadt Road and the park project shows us every year after this year, running at a 600 and something $1,000 deficit. So.
Right, we put in more, if we'd have those other ones in there, but as far as funds in our account, it's not, we actually have more, we still have money in there. And I'm hoping that we have, I'm gonna use your word hoping that you used the other night, but I guess I shouldn't say hope, because the reality is that we have more businesses coming in. With that, we're gonna have more revenues coming in. So, it should work out where we actually have more money, in the bank. I do have one other question real quick, Mayor, if I could.
Yes, sir.
On the budget stuff. I just want to make sure, we discussed at the last meeting because like I said, when I was looking at all the bills we're paying and seeing those 3 Dodge Chargers in there, that they needed to be worked on, and I know Chief has come before us before talking about those cars and wanting to get some different cars, and originally I had asked to have 2 cars taken out and just to leave 1 car, which he had requested for the previous, for next year. And then at the last board meeting, I had asked to have those other 2 cars, Chief had requested back in. I think it's a necessity at this point. I just want to make sure that those 2 cars were added back in.
They're on the projection sheet.
Yep, they're on the same sheet that you talked about earlier.
Okay, yes, sir. I saw them on there, so I just want to make sure it was on there. Very good. All right, thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Mayor, I
Yes,
have
sir.
a question.
Yes, sir.
We took action on the cut of 3 part-time police officers, put them back.
Yes, sir.
All the other things on that list, is there any reason I assume that all those things need to be done?
Yes, I think that is a safe assumption, recognizing we can amend the budget going forward if we need to, but I think that's a safe assumption.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yes, sir.
Do we need to take a vote on that, Mayor? Or?
I think you're gonna take a vote on that on Monday. Without the budget.
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Ms. Campbell made the motion. Mr. Williams, did I hear you second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?